Today on our show,
we gone Whedon.
Joss Whedon gets into the Batgirl.
That's right. That sounds filthier than he meant it. But Joss Whedon is going to make a Batgirl film, and we're going to fucking dissect it, even though it's not been made today on Fat Man on Batman. Welcome back to Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Okay, man, this is fucking news. You see this shit coming?
News!
Let me tell you kids a story about the superpowers, ladies and gentlemen. That used to mean America and Russia, but of course now it only means DC and Marvel. When we were kids reading comic books, they would.
The twain shall meet.
Look, I got a sweet signal. When we were kids reading comic books, kids, we had the battle of which universe you liked better. Do you like DC? You a DC person? You a Marvel person? Blah blah blah. And you know, Stan Lee, the guy we all know and love, whooped that shit up into a frenzy, man. As the ambassador of comics, he knew it was good for sales, all good fun. You talk to Stan Lee today, he's never like fucking hated DC with the passion that Hitler hated all. Like it was like fun and games.
Yeah, like DC always stood for distinguished competition.
Yes, they would never even say like DC or something like that.
Yeah,
so
dumb cocks.
That's what we. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That would have sold some more books. That was the era of Quesada and Gemmis. That's when it was like
dumb
cocks and Marvel stock went through the roof. So basically, back in the day, you had a slight rivalry between the two companies. And then, you know, there aren't enough fucking people in the comic book community at one point to sustain a rivalry. Shocked they never became one company. And there were rumors that once or twice it almost did.
Almost happened.
Could you imagine?
Until like Warner Brothers buys one and, you know, Disney buys the other. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe we're not going to do that now.
There was a period, though, where it might have happened. And I don't mean the amalgam universe. I mean like one company could have owned all of those characters, every superhero you know. Well, from the big two. But in any event, it's a long time ago. Now you know what world we live in. Marvel dominates the fucking movie biz, and DC is playing catch up. Warner Brothers, DC/Warner Brothers, with building an entire universe with one gigantic movie, BVS.
That dominates the TV biz.
Oh my God! But DC, if you want to watch a fantastic story about comic book characters using comic book characters, told lovingly by craftspeople that know what the fuck they're doing because they grew up reading every single one of these characters, every single issue of their books. Yes, the CW, of course. And I'm not just saying that because I've done a few. Those are the weakest links, kids. What you want to look at is all the work that they've done on Arrow and Flash and Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow. See the Black Lightning picture?
I did.
Swing. So they're killing it. In the movie world, in the TV world, and you know, look, there are no slouches in the movie world. Batman v Superman made $850 million, and Suicide Squad
didn't do badly.
Almost 800 as well.
Will not say it wasn't bad, but didn't do badly.
But Marvel, of course, is Marvel. Marvel Studios is like they're the Pixar of the 21st century. They can make no fucking wrong moves. They are the Edmonton Oilers from 1984 to 88 of the 21st century. Follow that analogy, if you will. Every fucking they're Miramax, circa 1989 to like right before they picked up Clerks. Every fucking decision they make is a fucking smart one, and they're building this wild legacy. Now,
not counting Iron Fist.
Well, don't you know?
No Iron Fist.
Every once in a while, somebody misses. And I'm on episode 5, and I got to tell you this. Fuck ton of boardroom sequences, aren't there?
Is that not the most fun you've ever had in a superhero show?
I don't know how many scenes they got with the brother and sister going, yeah, but what about Danny? All those fuckers do is sit around and talk about Danny Rand, man. It's
like,
amazing.
do you have a business to run? Should we talk about like profits and loss? No, Danny!
Like, no, what about Danny? Do you think it's him? Anyway.
Should we bring these drugs to the market for cost, or should we amp it up for, you know, making money? Superheroes.
I like that scene. That was actually kind of a good scene.
I mean, it's not that they're bad scenes. It's an LA Law scene in fucking Iron Fist. If it was Iron Law, then okay.
Damn it, we gotta get to the news.
Sorry.
He's re-reviewing
Don't
Iron
make me
Fist.
re-review Iron Fist again.
So what we saw this week, ladies and gentlemen, was a phenomena that we've seen over and over again in the age of the Marvel movie and now the DC movie. Warner Brothers and Marvel Studios separately, of course. DC started this week out with a fucking bang because on Saturday, which is the 1-year anniversary of the release of Batman v Superman, the V movie, they dropped a trailer, like days leading up to it, little teaser trailers. And on Saturday, they dropped the trailer for the Justice League.
Yes.
And the internet lit the fuck up. and everybody was talking about Justice League's #1 trending topic all over the world and shit. People were just like, hey, man, this does look fucking good. Some serious haters were like, I don't fucking give a shit. I'm still holding out and stuff. But it was the topic of discussion, and everybody was like, fuck, and this movie's 8 months away.
Until Tuesday.
Then on Tuesday, as if there is a great chess game being played that we, the consumer, are unaware of. Let's just imagine Kevin Feige was just like, oh, did DC have a good day? Let's drop the Spider-Man trailer, shall we?
Check.
Oh my God, check and fucking mate. And so you got to talk about and be amazed by Justice League for a minute and a half before suddenly the Amazing Spider-Man trailer happened. We're going to talk about both of those on separate shows, but that's not even the point of all this. That's just to say, look at these big maneuvers. Now, this is all conspiracy theory talk. We know the big studios would never sit there and be like, pull the trigger on that shit right now. They got to move things well in advance. It's like the Titanic. They have to turn it.
Millions of dollars in sway. One doesn't do those kind of decisions on a whim.
Sure feels like it, though. Sure fucking feels like it sometimes. So, Amazing Spider-Man broke the fucking internet. It's one of the greatest trailers ever produced, man. And boy, oh boy, just looking at that trailer gives you the same feeling, at least I speak for myself as a middle-aged 46-year-old man, that I had when I was a child cracking some of those stories for the first time. Like, when I read Born Again, I was like 18, I read Daredevil Born Again. I'll never get that same feeling back. Although I can go to the page where Matt is holding Karen, I'll still roll a fucking tear. Because that's some beautiful artwork by, I think it was Dave Mazzucchelli, wasn't it? And just the sentiment. Matt's out of the wardrobe, he's him. And Karen betrayed him, man. She sold out his identity to the Kingpin. And Kingpin has destroyed his life and shit. And he's within his rights to be like, fuck Karen Page. And then as Karen Page is about to be killed, that Billy Club comes out of nowhere. I'm going to fucking cry.
He's doing it. I see it. I feel
it's
it
so
coming.
good. You don't get it's amazing. You don't get that feeling like more than once. You open up the book, you're like, holy shit, maybe they put it in a trade paperback, you get that feeling a second time. But then you go on in life and stuff, and you're like, fuck, you chase that dragon for the rest of your life, and chances are you will never feel that exact feeling you felt looking at the book. But with these movies now, second bite at the apple. Suddenly, they're letting you feel the way you felt when you cracked open those books and you were moved as a child and you're a middle-aged man looking like less time in front of you than behind you and shit. Now you're moved even more. And even though like you've watched your child be born, you watch that Spider-Man trailer, you're like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And shit. So Marvel owned the fucking week, man. And, it was check and mate, as Marc pointed out.
Except they unmated. Warner Brothers was like, oh, really?
Then once again, in the great chess game that's being played behind our backs, man, between, let's say, the Watcher and the Spectre.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Good call.
Just off the tip of my tongue.
Off the dome.
The Watcher was easy, but I was like, who in DC? I was like, I'm going to give it to the Spectre. Just as if those two are sitting there playing a game of chess, man, with our hearts and emotions and our ups and downs as we root for your either a favorite DC or your favorite Marvel. DC dropped a fucking megasonic nuclear warhead. Teenage megasonic nuclear warhead.
Or middle-aged teenage megasonic nuclear warhead.
If I couldn't have dreamed of this, but why didn't we see this coming? Because it was written in the stars. You could have seen, this is Shakespearean, kids. What was about to happen, you're about to find out. Joss Whedon, creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and director of two, not one, but two Avengers movies, Avengers movies. The very heart, soul, and fucking spine of the Marvel studio universe as we know it.
Executive producer of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. One of the architects of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Like Mr. Marvel movie side. Jon Favreau was the original Mr. Marvel. Without him, you don't get an Iron Man, and Iron Man is the adamantium spine upon which the Marvel Cinematic Universe is built, man. All praise to Jon Favreau. But Whedon coming in, shit, that was the first time we saw a bunch of superheroes together. Avengers changes the business. Everybody wants to Avengers-ize their universe. Marc is working on one of those shows.
Indeed. And Joss Whedon leads directly to the Russos. Like, you don't get from that to that without Joss Whedon saying, TV guys are not so bad. I'm a TV guy. We can do this. These guys are super fucking smart. Bring them in. Help them. Give them a Cap movie. See what happens.
So there's an architect, you can argue, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Joss Whedon, man. And then after Age of Ultron, you know, he was like, I'm not going to do the next one.
Nah, broke me. Don't want it.
Well, yeah, at first it was like, I'm tired, and, you know, the other two took a lot out of me, so I'm not going to do them. I was curious. Who walks away from the trilogy and stuff? And then they replaced them with the Russo brothers, and the Russo brothers did Civil War, and we loved Civil War, so there seemed to be a continuity of service, even though it wasn't Joss or Yas. Suddenly we were like, all right, well, we're still back in business with our characters. But that left a major player off the board for quite some time.
Indeed.
Strangely.
Somebody with experience in superhero cinematics.
And I'm not going to say someone with an axe to grind, but like...
And somebody who once upon a time dabbled in DC's waters.
Where?
There is a script that Joss Whedon was paid to write for Wonder Woman.
Years ago.
Yeah, back in the early aughts.
So prior to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Indeed.
He was over there at Warner Brothers and stuff. And who better than Joss Whedon to take Batgirl? You know, just imagine Buffy and now put a cowl on her and stuff like that. Bam.
Less vampires, more thugs, but still.
And connected to Batman, which is something most of us love in general. But her own thing, standalone. Batgirl's never had a cinematic motion picture. This is crazy, crazy. But what's even crazier is a guy who was an architect at Marvel has literally crossed the fucking street, man. This ain't like when you see an actor who's been in, they were in a Marvel movie and a DC movie.
It's Chris Evans crossing stream.
No, this ain't, or even Dave DeSmalchin, who was a wonderful Abracadabra last week in Flash. He was in The Dark Knight.
And Ant-Man.
And Ant-Man, guy who walks between two worlds and stuff like that. Actors, you can kind of get away with it. This.
Directors, not so much.
This, you know, this would be like Jon Favreau going and directing a DC movie, but this is even fucking bigger.
This
like,
would
I
be
love
like
Jon
George-
Favreau, but there's 2 Avengers to Joss's name.
There would be like George Lucas making a Star Trek movie.
This would be like Stan Lee, at the height of Marvel, going to DC and publishing a few books. And I don't mean like an amalgam stunt. Second reference to amalgam this week.
More references than in the last 10 years to
Just
amalgams
saying.
happened
Just
right
saying.
now.
Dark Claw. In any event, this is massive news. And we're going to have to unpack this for further analysis. I turn to Marc Bernardin. Give me a single.
Give him a single.
Yeah, first
Turn
me.
it to me.
First me, motherfucker.
First him.
First give me a single. There
First
it
him,
is.
then.
Marc,
Yes?
how does something like this happen? How do they let that cat get out the bag and cross the street and join the other team? You're talking about a beleaguered effort so far by DC. A lot of people jumping on their dick about it's too dark and shit like that. And they get the original. They sign to their fucking bench. The original, like, let's have adventures and good times and laughs.
Yes.
And everything is not muted colors. Primary colors. How did they not see that fucking train coming? Give Marc a second.
I think they didn't want to see it coming. I think Marvel is totally happy with how their things are moving. I think that they're in a world in which they haven't, again, had to miss Iron Fist. But, Iron Fist. But for DC's perspective, like, man, I think they're building a Batverse. I think they've forgiven the idea of, we are never seeing a Flash movie. I honestly believe we're never seeing a Flash movie. We are 100% never seeing a Cyborg movie. You've never seen a Cyborg movie.
You put it on the record.
Yeah. But we will absolutely now see the Nightwing movie, the Batgirl movie, a solo Batman movie, leading into a Bat Family Trinity movie.
Look at this shit. I didn't even, my God. You put that shit together like Kevin Costner and JFK. Like that's
Single
crazy.
gunman!
He's absolutely fucking right. Thank God this show is called Fat Man on Batman and stuff because
We found a Batman thing
we
to talk
finally talked about fucking Batman. That's fucking brilliant, dude.
Like, because
they're not making a DC universe. They're literally making a Batverse.
Yes, I think they've realized that how we wrest control from Zack Snyder is give all of these other people things to do and then build that other stream.
So you've got Gotham Girls, or what do they call it? Gotham City
City
Sirens.
Sirens.
You've got the Nightwing movie they announced. Now Joss Whedon's Batgirl.
Yep. And
Matt Reeves is the Batman's, and I'm sure there's something we're forgetting and stuff.
Yeah. And
you're
Suicide
right.
Squad 2, which they will eventually make,
Which may or may not be directed by Mel Gibson. Did I read that on the internet?
I mean, yeah, but that's neither here nor there. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But now you have
Mark's like, I ain't gonna step over there. That's a whole different discussion.
We don't need that. But like that's now 4, almost 5 movies spooling up into Gotham.
Batman family, you're building a Gotham universe.
Yeah, like do we ever see the Green Lantern buddy cop movie? Maybe, probably not.
Really?
I mean, maybe they make it. Who knows? Do you want it? I don't know if I want it. I mean, you want it. I know
I
you
do.
want
Like,
it.
that's the thing. I'm the worst guy to ask because I want it all and shit. And I would like it weekly. Like, you know, I'm like a creature of the internet where it's like, that's amazing. Show me something else.
Yeah, I feel like it's, you know, we get Aquaman, we get Justice League, we get Wonder Woman. We might get a Superman 2 maybe at some point. Man of Steel 2? Probably not.
Do you think they're backing into a Batverse?
I think they're backing into a Batverse because the Batverse will always make the money. They can try out different directors on these Bat movies and like maybe find a dude who'll be an architect for that.
Not busy.
We know a guy.
Can't
but yeah, like
anywhere near that place. They're like, Kev, you could buy tickets. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
yeah, not opening weekend though. We don't need. you come the week after.
Come later on.
But yeah, I feel like that makes the most sense from both a studio perspective, from a money perspective, and from a fan perspective. You don't lose.
That's an analysis you ain't getting anywhere else on the interwebs, kids. Fucking Marc Bernardin, not just a good fucking writer. Sharp. You see everything.
And now I have no other outlet for this but this. I am no longer a member of the press.
That's right, you can't fucking write this for the LA Times. That would have been a good fucking piece to write. Shit. Phone that one in, like how Johnny Carson used to phone in jokes to Letterman and shit.
I could do that.
Just call him up and be like, hey, I got a piece for you.
Hey.
I would be for that. I think I like your theory, and I think I'm for that. Like, why not just lead with your greatest strength, which is like all Batman all the time? And maybe they can't just keep doing Batman, but they're like, well, you can do Batman without doing Batman. Suicide Squad showed that.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's do
Nightwing,
this.
Batgirl.
And Batgirl, whose time came a long fucking time ago in terms of like, why hasn't this happened prior?
Yes.
But thank the Lord it's happening in the right hands. Like, oh my God, if you're ever going to do a Batgirl movie, give it to that guy. That guy, A, has proven that he knows how to make a movie that makes money at the box office, so that's always fucking helpful. And he knows how to tell strong female lead stories, and he knows how to fucking deal in worlds that aren't normal worlds and action-y and stuff. Were you a Buffy guy?
I was a huge Buffy guy. Massive Buffy guy. Yeah.
I was making shit, so I wasn't really I've seen Buffy, of course, but like I was not like not like I'm dedicated to like the Flash and Supergirl and stuff.
It is one of the like texts of the sort of 20th century in how you tell stories about teenagers that don't feel diminutive towards teenagers. It's how you tell genre stories in ways that respect the genre. And it's how you tell allegorical stories in ways, because Buffy's about high school. Like it's about, and every episode was the, what if that kid who you never speak to happens to be a this? What if that person who's got a problem, that problem is magic? What if the first boy you ever sleep with turns into a dick just after you sleep with him? Like, but in this world, that's a vampire.
Right.
You know, it's let's find those universal stories about adolescence and give it a genre gloss that make it somewhat different from every other show on TV, but universally applicable.
Impact is still absolutely felt in as much as on those on the shows that I've worked on for the CW, they still speak in that terminology. They refer to the big bad.
Yeah, you know,
which comes right from that show.
The season-long arc of a big bad is an absolute Buffy invention. There's the ongoing story of your heroine, but there is the season-long story of your enemy. And then every season you can recycle them. You can bring them back if you want. Like, you know, Spike never really went away, but was never the big bad for the whole show. But he's just always alive. They're always able to recycle and reuse. It was a very green show, I feel, before green was a big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knew? You scratched the surface and a fucking Buffy addict popped the fuck out.
I've spent some time in the Buffy.
Do you have one of those angel puppets somewhere in the house?
I'm not going to say. It might incriminate me.
Joss Whedon, storyteller, episodic versus cinematic. Which do you prefer?
I mean, I feel like you get more space in episodic. You know, like it's a Russian novel is making a TV show.
Yeah.
And you get 1,000 pages to write a thing and have it live and breathe and make the characters vibrant. Whereas on the screen, you get 120 pages to tell a story. Could be an amazing story. It could be a wonderful story.
And we've seen him tell amazing stories in 2 hours.
But it's only going to be that, as opposed to we are living with these characters for years.
Does this enhance or hurt the chances of a Buffy reunion movie or something?
I mean, at this point, given that Sarah Michelle Gellar is not working and David Boreanaz just came off of Bones, like there's absolutely a world where you could make another one of those.
But does Batgirl jump in the way of it?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, hey, those folks aren't going anywhere. And the desire for more Buffy is absolutely still
20th
real.
anniversary.
20th anniversary. There's been a whole bunch of shit around it. Like EW just did a big reunion cover with that. Like, Yeah, like anything that Joss
I believe
does.
EW's initials in a foreign language stand for Buffy magazine. They've covered the fucking shit out of Buffy.
I mean, they covered it when I was there.
Yeah.
And it was off the air when I was there.
Dropping his
I'm not saying that I
Now we know why they fucking covered it while you were there, because you were like, let's do another Buffy episode.
It's like, hey, he's got a new show. It's called Firefly. It's going to be a huge hit. It wasn't. We covered the shit out of it anyway.
Predictions with Marc Bernardin. I couldn't be more excited for this. And it sounds like, I read something today, that it's the new 52 iteration of Barbara.
Makes the most sense.
What does that just mean? She's not in a wheelchair?
It means she's not in a wheelchair. It means she's younger. It means that it's the ramping up into her world as Batgirl, as opposed to, you know, I'm a librarian, forensic scientist.
This is what I like about this, Marc Bernardin.
Tell me, Kevin Smith.
Joss Whedon is powerful storyteller, powerful pop cultural storyteller, which means he has the chance to write a Batgirl story which more people will remember and identify with Batgirl than the one Batgirl story that's not a Batgirl story at all, that most people identify with Batgirl, which is Killing Joke.
Right.
Like, you know, for a lot of people, Batgirl's like most famous exploit is getting shot by the Joker. Joss Whedon has a wonderful chance here to rewrite that. And I'm not saying there have been plenty of comic books and wonderful animated shows that have kind of rewritten Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and stuff. But this is mainstream. This is on the canvas of the stars, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one that everybody sees, where your mom is like, "Oh, did you know they're making Batgirl, Tiger?" So, you know, he's got a chance here to kind of like not to. I love Alan Moore and I love the Killing Joke, so it's not like erase that mistake or whatever. But that still to this day, most people are like, "Oh, Batgirl, she got shot by the Joker." And it's like, well,
or is Yvonne Craig? Like, those are the two.
That's my generation goes like, you know who Batgirl is to me? Sitting in front of every episode of Batman praying to Christ that a cartoon fucking bat cycle would go by, because that meant there was going to be some Batgirl. In the
also
episode.
featuring Yvonne Craig as Batgirl.
Yes. Joss Whedon doing Batgirl. That's the world we live in, man. And in the ongoing war of Marvel versus DC, DC has just taken a massive fucking lead.
Right.
The only way this story or Marvel one-ups DC is if Chris Nolan goes and makes a fucking Marvel movie.
Right. And also, the other way that's interesting is that now DC has made, or at the very least has greenlit, 2 female starring movies. Wonder Woman, Batgirl. Marvel still just got the one, which they
Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel, which is 2019. Like, if
Do you think that makes... I think Kevin Feige is a strong player. I don't think it makes him ramp his schedule up at all. He's like, we're heading to Captain Marvel, and when we do it, it's going to be amazing.
It'll be great.
I'm not worried. We're Marvel. Everything we do is like shitting gold.
But it is one of those, you know, like, Scarlett Johansson's been Black Widow for a while. She could hold a movie, right?
Scarlett Johansson can't open a movie by herself.
I don't know what you're
crazy,
talking
Marc
about.
Bernardin? What do you got, like, some Lucy kind of thing going on in your head?
Maybe there's a She-Hulk movie you might want to make.
How is the Ghost in the Shield supposed to open?
I think it's tracking for 30 million.
Why wouldn't they give her a Black Widow movie? Makes no sense. The moment I saw Lucy open as big as it did, I would have been like, hey, fucking, you're on a Black Widow solo movie script.
Yes, go, make it.
But they've got to, you know, they're like the Cylons. They've got a plan.
And they don't deviate
and they
from
do
that
not
plan.
fucking deviate from it. And with good reason.
It's worked so far.
Totally.
Iron Fist.
Boy, Marvel's like, we're smarting from losing Josh. You're still fucking saying Iron Fist?
Iron Fist.
Quit Iron Fisting us, Marc Bernardin. There it is, folks. Fucking huge geek news, and we had to share it with you and stuff. Fat Man, I'm Batman, I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Come back next episode, same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com.
Or youtube.com/Kevin Smith.
Spider-Man trailer next.
What? Snaked.